everyone, and welcome once again to Miami Minutes. This is the podcast where we'll definitely try to talk about each minute of Miami Connection, 1 minute at a time. There's a reason for that ominous intro there. I'm one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
I am your other host, John Parker, and it might be a struggle, but you know what? I've got some backup stuff for you.
Yeah, people were wondering. This is a real, this is the first time in this entire project I was kind of like, oh, what have we done? Because, this is we've done so many other, movies by minutes. We're on season 5 of Batman now. There's always something to talk about in a Batman minute. But this is the first time I was like, oh boy, because minute 37, it opens with Mark staring down the camera, ready to show off some Taekwondo moves, and it ends a minute later with Mark staring down the camera and that same exact spot having just shown off some Taekwondo moves. And this is basically I'm assuming the mentality behind it was, if nothing else comes from this movie, we can at least use some of the footage to advertise the dojo, because
absolutely.
That's all this is. It is literally just YK Kim doing some, I don't know what you would call, I guess what kata would be with karate, but that's what I would think of, when you're just doing your moves. I would call that kata. I don't know what you call it
in Taekwondo, actually. I looked up some stuff about Taekwondo, but not that.
Yeah, well, but he's just he's rehearsing his moves, just getting into his zen spot. Just, I think it's because it's not even he's up against anyone. It is literally just I had the kind of sinking feeling as I was watching the minute of it's not going to cut away to anything.
No. Look, you know what? I haven't looked ahead. How many minutes does this go on?
It seemed the screenshot in the next minute is the same as the screenshot for this minute. So it's oh boy.
At least I know at some point more people come along.
Yeah. Grandmaster Kim, doing his thing.
The Taekwondo terror himself.
Yeah. The only major notes I have about the action, I do have notes on something else that are it's related to the movie, but it's it's tangential. But my big note for the minute itself is that he's doing the moves and he's very impressive and all this business with YK Kim.
Oh yeah, there's tension. He's ready to take heads off.
Oh yeah. Oh, this guy, he knows what he's doing. But he very clearly does have to beef it up a bit. Because you can tell, there's a bit where he hits his hand, and it's got a proper and it's oh, that's not a natural sound. That's clearly been ADR'd in to make it sound more impressive and stuff.
Yeah, that's for the movies, You don't get the real noise in the movies. You have to add to it.
Yeah. He's basically doing the Mac and Always Sunny thing of just.
Yep.
But because of that, though, I was thinking, the sound. Did we ever look up who did the sound for Miami Connection? Thinking this is a doomed task because everybody who worked on Miami Connection, except for one of the guys who worked in the music department, not Angelo, but someone who was doing I remember we discovered somebody's he's actually got proper credits and stuff. But most people who had anything to do with this movie are kind of doomed to never work in films ever again. But so I looked up in the sound department and discovered the list of names, and most of them don't have IMDb photos. So you're kind of tech department though, maybe it doesn't mean anything. But one guy did, the sound mixer for the movie, a fellow called Matthew Idarola. That's
good.
Iaderola. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I think I would say Idarola or Idarola. So, yep.
I'm going with that. Yeah, I trust you.
I'm going to assume you can sing this name to the rhythm of My Sharona, at least.
Idarola.
Yeah, but so this guy, he started off with his first movie was in 1980, a thing called Shogun Assassin.
Wait, I've heard of that. I'm sure.
I believe it's quite famous. It's a B-list kung fu movie of some regard because Jizza from Wu-Tang Clan. Wu-Tang Clan. Well, Wu-Tang Clan. That's the way I was going with that.
Wu-Tang.
But he used it for Liquid Swords, apparently. He took sound.
That's it. It's the start of that, the opening track, right?
Yeah, that's it. So he's... he's always got a. I don't know. Maybe some of Matthew's work also features it because he did the mixing. So, and I was looking into it, it's like, oh, do I know any of these actors? Not particularly, but apparently in the English dub, Sandra Bernhard's in there. So
amazing.
Once people were fans of Roseanne and the King of Comedy, might enjoy that factoid. But so he went on then to work in 1983 in something called Frankenstein's Great Aunt Tilly.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
So I was trying to get them, but like, all right, so it's 2.7 on IMDb. It's clearly going to be trash, right? And it's like the plot line is like, the descendants of Baron Frankenstein return to the family castle to search for the family fortune that is supposed to be hidden there.
Isn't that most of the sequels?
Yeah. Although not all of them feature a Great Aunt Tilly. Although maybe they, I'm not seeing all of them. Maybe a multitude of them do. But looking at it though, like, so it's all, trash cast, most of it. But Victor Frankenstein is played by Donald Pleasance.
What?
And you're like, I guess, the latter half of his career was this all Halloween sequels, Not to poo-poo him, because he was always great in those, but it felt like, maybe Donald Pleasance was just kind of like sliding into... Well,
I'll do whatever.
Yeah. And the titular Aunt Tilly was played by an actress called Yvonne Furneaux, who is in like Fellini's La Dolce Vita and Polanski's Repulsion and things like that. Put a pin in that Polanski thing, actually.
Oh God, no! Why?
But then, Johnny, it starts to heat up as it goes on, because Matthew also did the sound for a Donald G. Jackson movie. Donald G. Jackson been the guy who did Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Yeah, which every time I rewatch it, I realize this is not anywhere near as good as I remember it being. I remember watching it, I think with you, and it was hilarious and funny, and we were having a drink. I watch it now, and it's like, this is just like porn.
I think the fact that watching with another person and having a drink is probably what a lot of them.
That's necessary.
Yeah. But then he went on to do things like Roller Gator and things like that. But no, he made a movie called I Like to Hurt People.
Oh, what a name. That would make a great video game as well. I need that as a game.
So the thing is, I was hoping you would have some info on this because it's classed as a documentary. And it says, the plotline is, the Sheik wreaks havoc throughout the sleaziest locales of the American wrestling circuit. Maiming, mauling, and living up to his life's code, I like to hurt people. It stars Andre the Giant.
Whoa.
Or he features in it. I don't think he is the Sheik. I was like, so the Iron Sheik, but the Iron Sheik doesn't seem to be in it.
No, there was a Sheik before him, I think. There's a lot of Sheiks at the moment. There's a dark Sheik.
There's a guy. The main guy is someone called Abdullah the Butcher.
Oh yeah, no, he was great. He was infamous for sort of using forks as weapons and things.
Oh,
he was hardcore before it was a thing.
It kind of seems like with the butcher, you think he's going to come in with a meat cleaver or something. No, fork. That's all.
Yeah, he'd stab people with it, and he'd get stabbed with it, and his head was all messed up.
No, his IMDb photo is just fantastic. It's him shirtless, but he's just got his nipples right by his armpit. But that's Donald. I don't know if it is legitimately a documentary or what's happening,
or is it like a kind of half a documentary, half because of the time it was made. I cannot believe it's a straight up documentary. That was the time they still were telling everyone wrestling was real, so to speak. I hate using that phrase. So I think it'll have fudged the truth a lot.
It's great too, looking through the other people in it, because a lot of them don't have IMDb pics, but you have to try to guess, is that person a wrestler, or do they just have a really weird name? You get King Ripper Collins.
Oh, that's got to be a wrestler, right?
I'm assuming that's a wrestler. Then George Cannon. It's could go either way though. Then Bobo Brazil.
That's a wrestler. I know him. Yep.
And then this guy definitely Ox Baker, because he's got he's got a photo. He's got a giant mustache, shaved head, and he's got fire behind him in his picture. I'm assuming he's a wrestler.
That's just a normal weekend for that guy. He's not a wrestler.
And then, so like Sky Lolo, and you're just like, I don't know. Are these all like the proper Z-list celebrities? Like the Z-list, wrestlers who just couldn't catch a break? Except for this movie, I guess.
I need to watch this. I'm going to go download it after this.
But there's a couple of things in here. I was like, I must look more into this. One of them though was a weird thing because like I just by random happenstance saw this film the last time I was back in Ireland, which is only like last week. He's worked on a thing called Nomads, which was like when I was looking at it, it was like a Friday night late, and I was like, oh, watch this. This sounds stupid. I was like, see what the fun is. And Nomads is a thing that like I didn't know going in. Mid-'80s horror film.
Okay.
Starring Pierce Brosnan.
Great already.
As a French anthropologist. So one slightly uneven footing right there. And basically he's pursued. I was sitting watching this like, as this unfolded, been like, what the hell? He's pursued by a group of like mysterious bikers. Who he
Are they
refers to
ninja
as,
bikers?
Tragically not ninja, but they may be some kind of like Inuit ghosts of some sort. The leader of which is played by Adam Ant.
What?
And
You're blowing my mind today with all this stuff I haven't heard of yet should have.
The thing is, I was really mesmerized by I hadn't come across this film before because this goes on. It's got like the guy from Fright Night who's not, he's Brewster's friend. They call him like Evil Ed, I think you call him.
That sounds right.
Yeah, he's like, you're so cool, Brewster. That guy. He's one of the Nomads. And it's like, it's Pierce Brosnan. They come and attack the house. And they're very weird and ghostly and mysterious, these Nomads. And then you find out, like, no, they actually are. Like, they're part of some sort of weird folkloric, tribe that Pierce Brosnan has been, like, And at the end, like, his wife managed to escape. But as she's driving down the road, like a couple of days later, there's another biker gang pulls up, and it's the Nomads again, but Pierce Brosnan is one of them now, and all this good. So I was putting this, and I was like, okay. Ended, and at the end it said, directed by John McTiernan. And I was like, what? I looked it up. This was John McTiernan's second movie. His next movie, the next year, was Predator, and the year after that was Die Hard. And I was like,
what a run.
Yeah, but I was just like, so how have I never heard of Nomads before? And apparently this guy, the guy who did the sound mixing for Miami Connection, also worked on it.
Doing sound mixing.
Yeah, it's always sound mixing. He's the mixer or the remixer. But then the list just keeps on cranking up. Like he worked on Critters, of course, classic Gremlins ripoff, Critters, and Critters 2.
I was hoping you were going to say and Ghoulies.
Not Ghoulies, but he did work on Ghoulies 2.
Amazing.
Yeah. So he worked on Ghoulies 2. Then, like, I guess this is just the career of a sound mixer. He goes to like, all right, so he's working on Ghoulies 2, hops over to Friday the 13th, Part 6. Then he does work for something called He's My Girl. When you go into the deep dark area of like 80s IMDb, it's like you're gonna see a lot of crap and a lot of bizarre titles where you're like, I am intrigued, but I know it's gonna be terrible.
You could make that like a modern rom-com gender fluid story. He's My Girl.
Yeah, but then to do that, I'm assuming I'm gonna go ahead and assume, because it's from 1988, that it hasn't aged well.
Yeah, I can imagine you'd watch it and within 5 minutes be like, this is very inappropriate.
Yeah. He also worked on Tapeheads, which is a movie very close to my heart. People don't know Tapeheads. It's a late 80s comedy starring John Cusack and Tim Robbins. And they're basically two losers who decide to become like music video impresarios.
Oh, okay.
And like John Cusack's got like slick back hair and a really sleazy kind of John Waters tash in it. He's playing very against type.
And he eats sloppy steaks. Okay.
And at one point, like they get involved with this Swedish band and do a video for them. And the song is very clear. As soon as they start playing, it's Devo. And it's like, oh yeah, Devo wrote a song for this. Hey. And the song is Baby Doll, like one of their kind of late singles.
I don't know that one. I know a lot of Devo, but I don't know some of the late stuff.
Oh, Baby Doll, I think it's the best of that album. It's like it was one of the albums that everyone really hated, but Baby Doll's a pretty good song. But they re-recorded it in Swedish for tape heads.
Amazing.
So there's just like, "Want baby doll." Mark Brothers button on a big, thick Swedish accent and stuff. And then eventually they go on to, like, they do an ad for, like, a chicken and waffle house. It's got a really catchy, like, I'll post it on the page. And people might well know Tapeheads. Like, I think it's got a bit of a cult following. But from there, goes into, like, Chuck Russell, the Shawnee Smith remake of The Blob, which is a great movie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then Explosion. Like, goes into a mixed for Mystic Pizza.
Oh.
You know, a beloved Julia Roberts, you know, sort of family drama with Kathy Bates and whatnot. Driving Miss Daisy, you know, big Oscar-winning movie. After that, goes and mixes for Ghoulies 3.
Yeah.
So,
he's going back to his roots.
I was never, you know, always dance with the one who brought you, I guess. Even though he did Ghoulies 2, like, 17 films into his career.
Yeah, but it's that world he came from, you know.
But and the rest of the list is nearly all classics, like Kindergarten Cop.
Whoa.
Mix for Kindergarten Cop. Muppets Christmas Carol.
One of the greatest films ever.
Yeah. Controversial now, but still big deal at the time. Michael Jackson's Black and White video. You know.
I mean, you know, say what you want about him. That's a great video. That's a video I remember vividly from my childhood as well.
It's one of those. The other thing about everything else about Michael Jackson is debatable, but I think most people are like, great musician though. You know, the songs were there. Like, it's just the talent's clearly apparent, but it's just very like, yeah, literally everything else about this guy's life you can debate. But I've never come across anyone who was like, oh yeah, he's terrible. Like nearly everybody's just like, oh no, he's a great musician. Like, I can't, like, the songs were fantastic, but you know,
yeah.
So then did Freaked, which is a great Alex Winter movie, another kind of cult classic thing. Won't get into it now, but I highly recommend. I think last time I watched it, it was on YouTube, and much like Miami Connection, it was on YouTube.
Yeah, but you're not getting the real experience.
Well. Although I think in many ways, the real experience to watch Freaked will be like, oh yeah, you rented it from a crappy video shop when nothing else was there, and the tape's well worn out. That's the kind of vibe of a film.
Whack that VHS filter over your YouTube.
But yeah, from then on in, Being John Malkovich, Mission Impossible 2, 500 Days of Summer, Thor, all the Hobbit movies.
Wait, like, Thor as in Marvel?
Marvel, Thor, also Wonder Woman, so he's hopping back and forth between, shockingly, for our purposes, I was surprised, no Batman. Never touches a Batman.
Come on, what are they doing? Get him in the Batman 2.
Yeah. And from there, not Batman, but Batman related, Dunkirk. Did the music for Dunkirk.
I love that movie.
Yeah, not music though, sound mixing. A Star Is Born. The Lady Gaga. Yeah.
So he's potentially met. Well, I probably didn't meet Lady Gaga. You tend to do the sound on your own.
I think we might be kind of getting it's like, oh, this guy must be jetting off to like exotic locales. I'm sure he probably has been in the same chair since 1983.
Yeah, he's just sat in his house.
There's a really horrible, dingy little office, and they just send in the things. He's like, what's it today? Ghoulies 3. Okay. Sorry, I'll mix it. Don't worry. But
hey, doesn't matter. He gets to say he worked on it.
And take the pin out of the Polanski thing, because he also worked on that big documentary recently, Allen versus Farrow. The whole Mia Farrow, the Woody Allen takedown. Although I did get briefly very excited because when I first read it, I thought it said Alien versus Farrow, and I was like, "What?" Like, now we're cooking.
It's Ronan Farrow's new thing.
He's going around telling everybody, these xenomorphs, they bleed, they have acid for blood. People pay attention, for the love of God.
And no one will believe him.
Yeah. And then from there, like things like one of his most recent things was something called Feminists. What were they thinking?
Now that could be in like a fun, ironic way. That's actually a feminist piece, or it could be how I'm reading it, and it's a bit worrying.
No, I think it is. I believe it is the former.
Okay, good. God.
But yeah, although I just thought that as a title, because I think it's designed to get that reaction out of you, like feminists. What were they thinking?
What? Makes me think of The Death of Superman Lives. What happened? That's a great title.
Yeah. Oh, we covered that too. Also, if people are like enjoying this, we talk about The Death of Superman Lives what happened? Over in, I can't remember if that was a Patreon thing or if that was just on the Bat Minute feed, but we did talk about it. So
that's an excellent question. I believe it was on the normal Bat Minute feed, but if you can't find it, give us $2. It's on Patreon.
And yeah, like the Lego movie, the guy's got a list as long. It's like, it's an insane. But so it's just so bizarre because you're just like, oh, everybody who worked on Miami Connection is. But what I'm assuming it happened is that this guy just like works for a company.
Yeah.
And then YK Kim just had enough of a budget to be like, we can pay for that. Everything else we can't pay for, but we can pay for like the sound to be mixed by these guys. And so that's probably why, like, I'm sure if you mentioned to him now, like, you mixed for Miami Connection, he'd be like, entirely possible.
Maybe, I guess.
It's like the only ones to stay close to my heart were Dunkirk and Ghoulies 3.
His 2 favorite films.
And Critters 2, which always, like, people talk about Batman. We always have, every time Critters 2 gets brought up, which is surprisingly quite a few times on the show. It's always a bit weird for us because, like, Critters 2 is a terrible movie. But we have one of our frequent guests is Natasha Kamani, and one of her big movies, Imitation Girl, starring other frequent guests, Lauren Ashley Carter. Like, the beginning of that film is so similar to Critters 2.
Maybe it's an homage.
I don't know. But I've never had the guts to ask because I don't want to say to someone, like, like, that's 100% from Critters 2, right? Because she might be like, what? How dare you, kind of thing.
Try and very subtly slip it into conversation. Just be like, yeah, you know what movie I love the start of? Critters 2. see what reaction you get.
Yeah, because now we know 2 of them. One of them, like Lauren, I talk to like all the time now. I've still not worked up the guts to be like, so you swiped that from Critters 2, right? Like, I know not you personally, but you were playing the part.
It's an homage, Niall. It's not swiped.
Yeah. It's only an homage when you get caught, John. I think that's the... But anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed that deep dive into the career of Matthew Idoarola, because that's all I got for this minute.
That was fascinating. I didn't know any of that, listeners. That was all new to me as well. You've joined me on that roller coaster journey.
Yeah,
that man's wonderful career.
I think it is just, it's one of those things of just like, yeah, you jobbing people in Hollywood. You'll find all these connections, and you just never knew always these unsung heroes who were just like, yeah, I was that podcast that guy has. He was always on Star Wars Minute, but he has this podcast called I Was There Too, where he just interviews like random.
Matt Gorley, isn't it?
Matt Gorley, yeah, great theme tune. I always remember the theme tune from it. And then I remember they had the lady who played Vasquez in Aliens in it one time.
Early crush of mine.
Yeah, but he's really having to like tiptoe around. But like, well, so you play a Mexican character,
but
you are in fact not Mexican because you went on another James Cameron movie to play like an Irish lady,
and you never would have guessed that was the same actress.
No, I think she seemed in the interview quite proud of it because she's like, yeah, I play all types. Like, I mean that's something to be proud of.
I'd play anything.
Yeah, it's like some people would have beef with that, but okay, whatever.
I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone, but the sort of Latino people I've spoken to have all been in support of the character. But because what they said to me was at the time, there weren't any Latin characters in films really who were like heroes and stuff.
Yeah.
So they just liked that she was like representing almost. Like they didn't seem to have a problem with it. Again, I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm sure some people do have a problem with it, but it seemed more like in the vein of Fisher Stevens in the Short Circuit.
No, I think, but he's like at least like Vasquez. Like, oh, you can never tell, and plus it's a dignified character. Fisher Stevens is just like, oh, you made like a very broadly comic character with a ridiculously thick accent, and then we're like, oh, by the way, I'm not even vaguely from that country at all.
As a child, I thought he was, and bloody what's his face had that whole thing in Master of None.
Oh yeah.
He said he was my favorite Indian actor.
That's the only thing in Master of None. There's an episode 2 where like he claims to meet a guy. Well, he meets a guy who claims to be Scatman John's son. And I was just like, they never mention the fact that Scatman John is dead. I was like, so that's why I never believed the guy, because I was like, well, surely you would, why would you make? I think the whole thing is like, why would you make up that you're Scatman John's son? And I was like, why wouldn't you make that up?
I'm going to say it from now on.
Yeah, you meet people at a random club, and you're just like, hey, you know who my dad is? Scatman John. Like, people would be like, everybody's going to be like, oh, I love that guy.
And everyone will just be like, ski ba 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 da boo.
Yeah. And how many people are aware that Scatman John, like, died in, like, 2001 or something? Like, it's not many. I think it's a good con. I think it's one.
Okay, let's try it out. Oh, no, we've revealed our plan on air. Edit it out.
Just bleep out the name of the celebrity. And then people will never know. The next episode, I'll be like, I am the son of Scatman John, and I'll pick out.
You've got to do it now. Remember next week. You probably won't remember.
Hey, remember when we had footage to talk about from Miami Connection?
Well, I'll talk a little bit about the footage before I do my little list of facts. I do find it quite fascinating at the start. He does this big exhale that's got so much power behind it that he spits. Maybe he like absolutely just gobs everywhere.
Maybe that's why all the guys cleared out in the last minute. They're like, okay, he's getting ready.
I thought maybe it's like a Korean version of utilizing chi, you know. So I did actually look that up. Like, do Koreans have chi as a concept? And they do. And I found what I want to call a martial art. I don't know if they'd use that term. Kimudo. Which looks basically like Korean Tai Chi. And it really leans into that spiritual side rather than being, like just a straight up exercise. It's about energy and spirit and things.
Yeah.
So Kimudo, I found. I was like, oh, I've never heard of that before.
There's a little gap there. I thought, like, oh, there's more to this. But
that's all I got for that.
And I did in tying in though. I did actually see it was a while back, but I remember there's an interview with YK Kim where he's just talking about like all his fitness regime plans and stuff, and breathing is like one of his big things.
Oh yeah, it's the most important thing. Weirdly,
yeah, because he kept saying that you have to breathe from your lower abdomen, rather than your chest.
It's like backwards to what you do naturally. It's bizarre.
Yeah, and he goes into a whole big explanation to it and stuff. And I remember he's doing it live on stage with a guy. And then he starts, like, the guy's trying to do, and he's kind of like getting a little flustered. And YK Kim's just like, are you listening? Like, he gets, and then you're like, is this what it's like to be taught by him? Like, he seems a bit intimidating.
But I think that's just what all martial arts teachers are like, Yeah.
But I do know, like, apparently breathing in general is, like, one of those, look into so many, like, different, like, sort of, even, like, self-help things and all that kind of business. Always breathing. They're always talking about like how important it is to breathe properly. So I'm not surprised, that he's just like, okay, getting ready.
When I was learning Tai Chi, that was really important. Like you'd sometimes just spend 15 minutes breathing.
Yeah,
that's it. You wouldn't do anything else. He's just like, just breathe. Yeah, okay. And I think he's got really good balance when he does this delayed kick. I miss my balance. I used to do yoga quite a lot. Since my work has ended up taking so much bloody time, I don't do it anymore. Hopefully soon. Used to have really good balance like this. I could balance on one leg, put one leg up in the air, and now I just fall down. But look at him. He doesn't wobble an inch.
Do you think maybe YK Kim would give us like could we become part of the dojo for free?
A discount, maybe.
We're promoting your work, man. Like, who's done more for you in recent years than us?
He'll take 15% off. It's a good deal. I also just like that we're getting to witness, the proper practicing of the moves. Because normally we only really, in this movie and in other movies, we only really see these in a fight sequence, which is obviously very, very fast. It's different.
Yeah. Usually particularly with this movie, we're always distracted by how like poorly the other people are doing.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously he's doing great, but then like you're going like, oh, that guy fell down way before he even got hit and all that kind of stuff.
Again, though, that's because, movie martial arts, different skill set to just normal. Because you're trying not to hit them in the face, but make it look like you are.
Yeah, this one looks like these blows look like they would hurt if these were landing on someone. At one point he starts approaching the camera. You always have an instinctive kind of like, I want to back off because it seems like he's coming for me.
I find this bit he does is, I don't know how to describe it. I suppose like a weird slow motion uppercut. I found that quite interesting. He kind of rocks back and forth with his fist like really slowly though, which I thought maybe was like an energy thing again, like Tai Chi. But I looked into it and I thought I might have an answer, possibly. But there's a bit of reading to do here, so I apologize. It says, the emphasis on speed and agility is a defining characteristic of Taekwondo and has its origins in analyses undertaken by Choi Hong Hee. The results of that analysis are known by practitioners as Choi's theory of power. Choi based his understanding of power on biomechanics and Newtonian physics, as well as martial arts. For example, Choi observed that the kinetic energy of a strike increases quadratically with the speed of the strike, but increases only linearly with the mass of the striking object. I know that sounds confusing. So, in other words, speed is more important than size in terms of generating power. There's more to come that's going to connect it as well, I think, possibly. He also advocated for a relax/strike principle. In other words, between blocks, kicks, and strikes, the practitioner should relax the body, then tense the muscles only while performing the technique. Because it's believed that the relax strike principle increases the power and it conserves energy at the same time. So I think that's his like relax, he's getting ready to rock into something. Yeah. And then there's even more that kind of goes with that. There's the sine wave technique. It gets very, very elaborate. But I'll skip all of that because that'll just go on forever. And then there's another section, the theory of power, reaction force. Right, now this I think as well is what he's doing. The principle that as the striking limb is brought forward, other parts of the body should be brought backwards in order to provide more power to the striking limb. So, if you do like a right leg roundhouse kick, the right arm is brought backwards because it provides like a reaction force, as they call it. So I think it's all part of this. You've got to move other parts of your body than what you're intending to strike with, because he goes from that into a kick. And then he pulls the arms back. And it helps with balance and stuff as well, like not just power. But I thought that was probably what he's going for, because you don't have to be really fast the whole time. It's quite interesting. Yeah. I suppose like Tai Chi again, though, it's not always slow. Some moves you do are quick. There's this big kick that you do where you do it as fast as you can and like smack your leg as you do it. You have to like, what? It's crazy. It's like, and then you just go super slow again. It's like, whoa.
That still kind of reminds me of just, even though that was like a kind of like a mystic thing. But remember when we talked about the Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And like Batman's at one point defeated by Shredder, because he takes the time to kind of like focus his chi, and he does all these little hand motions, and then he just delivers this one big punch. That's just like the most powerful thing, like probably this like completely knocks Batman flat and stuff. So we have the same kind of principle, but I think that's in a lot of kung fu movies where they're like, yes, there's some weird magic move that you can do where you're like gathering all the energy from the world around you and then channeling it in through one blow kind of thing.
Well, I was going to say Kill Bill, but I suppose they try and make that sound more scientific.
Yeah. And from what you're saying too, like there is like a proper sound, like there is no mysticism to this. It is just like, no, it's basically physics. Like, well, this is how that would work, conserving energy and then been able to,
Well, that's the beauty of like things like chi. Like if you believe in the mystic side of it, that's fine, that's great. But you can still utilize principles around it without that belief, because it is scientifically proven in ways as well. So it's not pointless. Yeah.
So it's best of both worlds, really. Like you got, and if you want to take away something spiritual from it as well, you're like, just if you're not harmed anybody, then by all means, take whatever you can get.
Exactly. I believe that too.
Yeah. My only other note really is that it's entirely just because he's on grass, but like he's got some dirty feet going on.
yeah, it's a muddy ground, which is fine. It's realistic, but in movies we're just so used to them making everything pristine.
yeah. So I'm hoping like that is just the grass, and like when he's up on stage taking people's noses on his toes, and they're not like, oh god damn it.
That's why it's an effective move. His feet stink. It's like, oh.
He's like, I've spent many years cultivating these stinky feet.
Yeah, it's a deliberate tactic. He rubs just dog shit into
Yeah,
them.
he just has to, every time he gets in the shower, he has to put like plastic bags on his feet just in case.
It's genius. You don't want to get kicked by that guy.
Yeah. I also remember that was a big debate that was in the show I really loved. And I've only seen it now come. I don't know if people started debating it because of the show, or if it was already a thing. Like from the same show, I heard the term for the first time, new phone, who dis?
Oh, yeah.
I heard it once there, and then everybody kept saying it, and I was like, are they getting it from the show? Or are they, or was it already a thing? But a show called You're the Worst, and has...
I've heard of that, probably from you, to be honest.
Oh, I love you. I've mentioned it many times. It's got the big person you know. Actually, freaking bizarre coincidence. The How Did This Get Made episode on Miami Connection has Chris Gere. He's from You're the Worst. He's the main guy in the show. He's like an English guy. And his girlfriend in it is Aya Cash, who was Stormfront in The Boys.
Oh, wow.
Like a sort of asshole, like, oh, she's like a influencer superhero. It turns out she was like an old Nazi and all that business. But yeah, she has a whole bit when she's going to get showered. And she's like, oh, well, it might take some time. I'm going to wash my legs today. And Chris Gere's is like, what do you mean you don't normally wash your legs? And she's like, what am I, a sucker? Like, what am I going to do? Like, lean down and wash my legs every day?
It's a lot of work.
But he's just like, well, yeah, why wouldn't you? She's like, well, there's water falling on me down my legs. Why would I bother to clean them?
I'm with her.
Yeah. But since then, I've seen people go like, do you wash your legs in the shower every day? This debate I've seen pop up on the internet several times. I'm like, were they getting that from the internet, or has the internet gotten that from the show?
Hey, as long as you're washing the key areas, that's all that matters,
But yeah, I always appreciated the delivery of that line though. Where it's just like, you don't wash your legs. Like, what am I, a sucker? Like, as if someone's trying to con her into like wasting precious minutes, or not even minutes, like maybe like a minute 30 seconds or something.
It makes me think of 30 Rock with "What Am I, a Farmer?"
I have one of those things. Can you still quote 30? Can you still quote that character from 30 Rock anymore? Now that he potentially killed somebody,
I think at the moment, because nothing's been dealt with yet, shall we say?
Yeah.
Because on the surface of it, I don't think he's really done anything. But at the same time, I don't know the full thing yet.
I know he's up on. He's been like, well, I say potentially he did kill someone.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean, though. Like,
but he's up
was it
because
his fault? He was a producer.
He was a producer, and he was like, the set was going to pieces, and it was just an absolute nightmare. It's just like, as producer, should you have not been stepping up? Is it not your negligence for not checking things and all that kind of business? Yeah.
That's the thing. That's why I don't want to make any judgments till it's more being, underway, shall we say? The case is still just been.
So I was waiting for all the Jonathan Majors stuff. Like a guy from Creed 3, Kang, in the Marvel Universe now. It's like arrested on assault charges like 2 weeks ago as of recording. And they're still not done anything. They're just like, oh no, we got evidence that'll exonerate him. And then they brought out some text from the woman he apparently assaulted, where she's like, no, I said to the cops it was all my fault anyway. I shouldn't have been saying that stuff.
Ew.
And you're like, that doesn't make you seem innocent at all. That just makes it seem like she's saying you did it, and then now, but she was like okay with it. It's like, doesn't her been okay with it doesn't mean that it was okay to do, kind of thing. But
or has she been forced into saying that? This is the problem.
Yeah. But anyway, the fact that it's taking so long is a good indication. Like, I might not be seeing too much of Jonathan Majors anymore. But
yes,
unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it depends which way you look at that. Yeah,
yeah. By the time this airs, if this bit is even kept in the episode, we might well know, or he could still be in some sort of career stalemate of like, well, we have to wait till the court case starts, I guess. But
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a whole little minute-long routine, and then he literally goes back to where he was standing, and
it's a perfect minute in a way.
Yeah. If it was just like, I need a solid minute of me doing my stuff to sell the dojo to people.
It is, as much as I love seeing this, right? I really do. I love that it's here. Kim is amazing. It's ridiculously self-indulgent to include this in your film, though, isn't it?
But at the same time, though, it is like it's martial arts to promote peace in the world, and only through the elimination of violence can we, but yada yada yada. But like, it's a self-promotion project. You know, it's like, why else did you cast yourself as like the lead, like the big heroic lead and stuff?
And at least this makes sense for the characters. Like, this is the kind of thing they would be doing. He's got to practice.
Yeah. Although at the same time, I don't know if you'd spend a solid minute of just doing this.
Well, do you want a spoiler? I looked ahead, and next week, guess what we've got?
Oh my God! Is it another minute of this?
Yes, but with a partner.
Oh, thank God. Right.
But it's a minute more, baby. So I was going to read my brief history of Taekwondo here, but I actually might save it till next week.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like, don't take any risks. We might need every precious thing.
Yeah, I might pad it out, listeners, because you don't want just me reading things for like an hour straight in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, imagine to find a sound guy who had a career beyond Miami Connection. That's a miracle. Like that's not going to happen twice. That's not going to be. I'm not going to come on IMDb and find some other guy who worked on a John McTiernan movie that nobody talks about.
I got us some good content there. You know what won't get us good content? No drinking today, Niall.
Oh yeah. This is the sober Saturday, I guess now.
Yeah, it's sober. That's the name of the episode right there. Sober Saturday.
Some people are out there asking, like, oh, this guy's usually pretty tanked when we see him. You know, he arrives in the club every night. He's already wasted for some reason. But tonight he arrived in stone cold sober. Why? What happened?
And just looking miserable as well. Like, I need a drink, but I'm not allowed one.
I would have thought something, but like, there's no fist pumps really. He's doing like some. I guess technically he's pumping his fists in the air at some point. But...
God, that's pushing it a bit. I know we sometimes stretch the concept, but that might be too much.
Yeah. He's got his damn gi on the whole time because he might kill you to take it off for a second. Although I guess I don't think we ever see him without the... Oh, no, we did. We did at the beach. Sorry. I was about to say we never see the rippling bites or the rippling, abs of YK Kim. But
he definitely saves it for a treat, doesn't he?
Yeah. He's like, all these guys, they'll get the pants unzipped and the towel over their shoulders at the drop of a hat. But like, no, you gotta work for that YK cake.
And he gives you a little tease of it, and then it's gone.
Yeah, it's like, look at these dirty feet.
Well, maybe foot people are into that.
The thing is, but that might sound like a joke, but I'm sure there's people into YK Kim's feet.
Yeah.
Like, the foot fetishism of the internet and just the world in general is alive and well. Let me tell you.
Well, let me look something up on air.
Are you going to WikiFeet to see YK
Kim? Let's see. Is YK Kim on WikiFeet? No, he's not.
Oh well, I guess we know what we're doing tonight, John. Most of it's all just shots from this minute.
We'll make an entry. WikiFeet. It looks like it was made in 1995.
I guess it's the people who were like maintaining it are all kind of like slightly ashamed.
Yeah. Well, they have on the front page as of the 4th of the 5th, 22. Hi everyone, I'm still working on a new UI for the site. Well, you're still fucking doing it now, are you? Okay. Cheers, Eli.
I mean, he might have a full-time job. He could be a sound mixer in Hollywood having to do Ghoulies 17 and stuff.
Maybe, but he's still got time on the front page for Feat of the Week to be Margot Robbie.
It's a generic thing. Everything about Margot Robbie to me is like, she's one of these people who's like, I can see that she's attractive, but like, she's not for me. She's just very... No,
I agree. Same.
Very, very bland looking. She's kind of got a,
But you know why they've gone with her? It's that shot in Barbie.
Of course, yeah.
Because that's the picture. they seem to really like that it's next to that fluffy
it's like all the WikiFeet people were just like, you see that Barbie teaser? Oh my God. Like, oh yeah, have you seen all the posters? Poster.
They're just that they've made their own poster. It's just that. So yeah.
Now I've seen the memes going around of like the Barbie written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. Of course he did. And the thing it's so egregious in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, as if he's like, if it wasn't him, I would assume he was taking the piss. But also because it's creepy, Quentin Tarantino's always creeping out a little bit. Oh yeah. So I did kind of slight vibes. Like, well, he's still getting off on it. He's just very blatantly putting it up there.
He's like, getting off on it while also getting off on the fact that
Yeah.
It's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to fucking do? It's my movie.
Yeah. It's like, everybody knows. No one's stopping me. She could have said no. But then you're getting into dodgy territory right there, Quentin.
Yeah. Oh,
So if you go on the Quentin Tarantino set and he tells you to get your feet up, flexed in front of a camera, what are you going to say? No? Well, no, of course you're not going to say that. Even if you're Margot Robbie. So,
oh God, I'm surprised. She hasn't worked with Tarantino, has she?
Well, once she played Sharon Tate in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
There was me, like, in my mind, I was thinking, I'm sure she must have worked with him. Of course she fucking has, nah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a bit, she's in a movie theater, she just puts her bare feet up on the head of the chair in front of her, which, one, bad etiquette in movies. In a movie theater to be doing that, particularly when there's other people there.
Yeah.
And two, it's just like, the camera's just lingering on it, and you're like, Quentin, man. And then, like, the next scene's like friggin' one of the Manson girls is picked up by Brad Pitt. That's Andy McDowell's daughter, I want to say. And she's just got her feet hanging out the car door and stuff.
Did she not watch Death Proof? You don't do that.
Yeah, that's the same shot. That's the same thing. I'm just like, oh, we know what you're doing. I've never seen a person sit like that in a car in real life. Only in Quentin Tarantino.
You got to live in California, dude.
Yeah,
you got to be chill.
Or Miami. Perhaps.
Or Miami.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, in the commentary track, there is one thing I enjoyed.
Oh.
They talk about how at their exhibitions and displays they'd put on, for the public, they would have 7,000 people there.
Whoa.
I know. I was like, that's like a sport game. Like, obviously not football. That's like 60,000, 80,000, but still, 7,000 people for your martial arts demonstration.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
And then YK Kim says, like, where were all they when Miami Connection was released?
Yeah, they weren't buying tickets, were they? Fucking hell.
Yeah. He should have been writing up all of his students. He's like, all of you didn't show up. Like, he could have come into class that Monday, like, I got the box office receipts here. Nobody went to see this thing. All of you should be going out to see this thing.
It's crazy to me that many people would go see. And it says they said how Kim would spend 20 minutes performing, which that's a long time, like to be doing it.
Is it us 18 minutes from now? Like, oh dear God, he's still going.
And he'd perform by jumping through fire, breaking bricks, throwing apples and slicing them with swords and things like that. I was like, well, where's that in the movie? I suppose there is flaming bricks at one point.
Yeah, but he gives that to Yoshito as well. So it's like he's very, very gracious to be like, oh no, you can take that nifty little, or maybe he's more like, that's the gimmicky thing for the crowd. Like that's not the real. Like, so because my dad's a big guitar player, and it's like an amazing guitar player called Tommy Emmanuel. If you see him playing, he's the flashiest, just like the most show-offiest. He does so many little tricks and stuff.
Oh, like that. What's his name? Malmsteen.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you pronounce his first name?
Yingy
Malmsteen. Yeah, he's all just like doing all crazy shit.
Yeah, but Tommy Emmanuel is an Australian guy. Does it all on acoustic guitar. And he's just like, I've seen him live a couple of times because he's still doing things. He'd be like playing the tuning heads and everything. Like, he's amazing. But it's clear he's got incredible skill, but it's all flash. And then my dad's always got like, he's good, but this guy, Richard Smith, and he'll show you this guitar, like this like portly middle-aged guy just sitting doing like very unflashy guitar playing. But my dad will be like, that's the real talent. The stuff he's doing, the unassuming quiet stuff.
Yeah.
That's actually technically better than all the flashy, like, hey, look what I'm doing, everybody. Like, Tommy Man it's all a show. He's a good showman. But then Richard Smith is the guy who's got the real talent to create beautiful music.
I'm with you, Dad. I'm sure this is a totally different type of music to what he would enjoy, but I agree because, I mean, I like punk. And that was their whole thing, was like, we're not doing fucking solos and showing off and wanking the guitar.
Yeah. And yeah, so I gotta imagine maybe YK was a bit like, well, the flaming bricks and stuff, that's for the 7,000 seaters. But like, I'm not really about that. But like, yeah, Yoshito, you go do that. Like, whatever.
No, you know what's nice as well? Those 7,000 people coming in and stuff like that. He does it all for charity. Every penny.
Oh, maybe so. That's fine. There's no charity involved in people buying a movie ticket to see Miami Connection.
He stopped his charity work after this movie. Nobody came and helped me when I needed it.
Yeah, he's just kind of like, well, that was suggested donation. They're asking for like $5. Like, hey, I'm not taking my family out to that.
Hey, that's something I hate. Suggested donation. Because you're then pressured into donating.
Yeah. I was in an art gallery just the other day. And I appreciate they at least put a price on it.
Yeah, just do that. Just be honest. Just say it's £5 to come in. I'll be like, okay, cool. Here's £5.
The weird thing about this, this was at the exit, and it was just like, if you enjoyed what you saw, please donate £5.
Oh, okay, that's okay as well. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was the fact that they're kind of setting the precedent of like, we don't want any of your crappy, like your shrapnel. Like, if you're going to don't donate anything less than £5 because otherwise it's a waste of time. You know?
I mean, in this day and age, it is. What's the fucking point?
Yeah. But yeah, it's up in Manchester. I went up to see my family who were over visiting, and they had a great time at the old Manchester Metropolitan and stuff.
Oh.
But, sadly, no YK Kim presentations there that day, at least. But
No, that's coming soon. YK Kim, get over here. Come on.
Get over here.
Get over here. Fatality.
But yeah, that's all the notes I got for minute. It's me doing like, we'll barely crack like the 20-minute mark of this. We're still 50 minutes, but still,
Hey, we always have something to talk about, and I'm saving these other notes for next time, people. So if you want to hear a brief history of Taekwondo, tune in again next week. For now, I guess we'll break the connection. Go and have a drink to drown out your sorrows of not having a drink. And as usual, we're on Facebook at the Miami Minutes Taekwondo Orphanage, Twitter at Miami Minutes, Instagram Miami Minutes. And why don't you rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or iTunes or whatever the fuck it's called now. And anything else you review on. Podcast Addict, what are the other ones? Podbean? Can you review on that?
I haven't heard of Podbean since before you were born.
What else is there?
I'm so dyed in the wool with Podcast Addict. I just don't give any other podcasters the time of day now. Like,
no, same. I'm not interested. Yeah. And not all of them, the reviews don't count on all of them. But they do. They especially do on iTunes. Oh, do it on. I think you can on Spotify.
Yeah.
So do that, because that helps us out in the algorithm and whatnot. And yes, we will be back to forge the connection once again, and maybe hold someone finally with our toes on the nose. See you then, Taekwondo family. Hiya!
Listen to me.